Dr. Sonny Ramaswamy of the National Institute of Food and Agriculture. First of all, basic question, what is NIFA?
Yeah, thanks so much, Chris, for having me here. And the National Institute of Food and Agriculture is an agency within the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And we're vested with the responsibility by Congress to support the agricultural research, extension, and education enterprise for America. So we refer to ourselves as the extramural science agency of the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Okay. Now you were talking about the ecological footprint of food and agriculture. What exactly does that mean, and what is your agency's goal, and how to change that?
Yeah. So the ecological footprint, very simply, if you were to think of defining it, is really what does it take to produce food, and how much water does it need, how much energy does it need, how much carbon does it produce in the process, how much nitrogen is it going to use, how much land does it need. So these factors are ecological components, the components within which food is being produced. And so those need to be determined, and we know for a fact that 80% of the fresh water that you and I consume is in the food that we consume. About 17 to almost 30% of the energy that we use is in the food that you and I consume. So what we're trying to do as an agency is to provide the funding to get the kind of discoveries that we need to cut that footprint in half in the next about a decade and a half to 2 decades or so.
Give me an example, like how do you cut the footprint of water use?
Sure. So, okay, so our expectation is we want to cut water use by half. As I said, 80% of the fresh water that you and I use globally, humanity uses, is in the food that we consume. Imagine we want to produce that food that we consume with half as much water. Okay, so there's multiple ways to do this. One is you improve the water use efficiency by plants and animals. You try to look at the genetic basis of water use and try to improve on it. That's one approach. A second approach is we irrigate our crops, for example. And imagine we could reduce the loss of water because of evaporation and other things, and to deliver the water to where it's actually needed. So by delivering the water to where it's needed, which is the roots, you can cut a lot of the water loss that occurs because of evaporation and things like that too. So those are a couple of examples that one could think of in reducing the water use. And so that'd be an approach that we would do support in reducing our ecological footprint.
Okay. GMOs, a very hot issue politically. Very short question. Are they safe or not safe?
Safe.
Okay, and I'll give you the long answer. Why are they safe?
Yeah, well, so we've been growing and consuming, GMOs in America and around many parts of the world now since the mid-1990s, approximately. So we've had about 20 years of experience with it. We've not had any untoward issues with consuming GMOs. Humans, okay? Prior to that, there's been a whole bunch of laboratory tests as well, and field tests. All of that has shown that there is no detrimental effect of consuming GMOs.
Now, you talked about the mismatch in the world today, where people are going hungry. At the same time, huge percentages of Americans and elsewhere are overweight or obese. Yep. Can that mismatch be mitigated or possibly even eliminated with better kind of food management and farming strategies?
Yeah, I think this is an opportunity that we have to grab a hold of and address. I mean, I look at it as an opportunity. It's a challenge, of course, the obesity epidemic, the epidemic of people being overweight in America. And at the same time, we've got 17 million households that are nutritionally insecure, that they're not able to meet their food needs on a daily basis, And these are all, completely addressable by us getting our heads together on the obesity and overweight issues, helping people be much more mindful of the food that they consume, the amount of food that they consume, and also enhancing changing their sedentary lifestyles and behaviors. These are things that are totally doable. Okay, that's one part of it. The flip side of it is making sure that food is available to everybody. And It's not so much the fact that we can't produce food or we're not producing enough food as much as getting it from where it's produced to where it's needed. And it requires policies, it requires a mindset and a willingness by society, by us, you and I, by Congress, by the state legislatures saying that this is critically important, that we've got to eliminate this problem of hunger in America. And it's the lack of this mindset that we're going to get it done. And you know, it's in our hands to be able to do it. It's not like we can't do it. We can. It's just that we've not been able to come to grips.
I think that's all I need. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Good.